You're watching TRTS Clips, a clip-sized content playlist that encloses experiences and stories of some of the most amazing, intellectually sound people from different walks of life. You enjoy this particular clip and don't forget to check out the entire playlist. If you like it, please support us by sharing it. Now, without further ado, the guest is all yours.
Because while I was going through the website of the Knowledge Society, I found a quote which was written there that you wish to build up something that you wish you had while you were growing up. So how did those days, those early days of your life actually help you in shaping the Knowledge Society as it is now?
So I wanted to build what I wish I had, because when I was in the education system, when I was in school, I felt like it was doing a good job filtering me rather than educating me. And so when I studied for math or science or English, I would always get a grade back, but they would never give me feedback. They would just give me the grade, but I didn't know how to get better or improve. The other thing was I was always learning about the past. I was learning about how things were, not how things will be. And so I wanted an education that could push me to grow, and I wanted an education that could prepare me for the future. And that's what TKS is. TKS is not STEM. It's not technology. It's a new type of education, an education that prepares young people to play a part in the future and focuses on their growth. That was the what I wish I had part. And then the question about growing up, I spent a lot of time traveling around the world in different countries. And I remember there was this one experience I had. I mean, there's multiple of these, but one of them I was in, I think it was in Mumbai, and I was crossing a bridge, and I looked over the bridge, or maybe it was Delhi. I think it was Mumbai. So I'm crossing this bridge, and I look over the bridge, and I see just hundreds of people doing their laundry in, a dirty river underneath. And, growing up in Canada, that's not normal to see, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And I was maybe 11 years old or something when I was looking at that, thinking, it's obvious to me they're going to get sick. This water is not clean water. They're washing their clothes, their dirty clothes in the same place. So how is their clothes going to get cleaner if all the dirt is just moving from one dirty clothes to another dirty clothes? And this moment occurred to me that the world can be better, and it's just people need to make it better. If all the thousands of people that are crossing that bridge that day look down and don't do anything about it, well, nothing's going to change, because the people that are going to change it are the ones who have the ability to change it, right? The people that are washing their clothes in the dirty river, they don't have the ability to change it because they're focused on survival. They can't even think, how can I change the situation for other people? Because they're so focused thinking about themselves and their families, right? And the food they're going to eat that day, or whatever the case is. And so the thousands of people that cross the bridge, well, they're the ones with the ability. But I mean, this growing up in the country, at some point you get desensitized and you start looking at everybody and,
exactly.
This is normal. This is normal life. But why does it need to be normal? And that's what I just kept thinking about. I spent some time in Bangladesh, and I was working at Grameen Bank for microfinance with Muhammad Yunus. And I was living in the villages, and I was in, the main cities in Dhaka and the Mirpur area, where, not well off at all. And after a month in Dhaka, I started to get desensitized. I started to see, you walk outside and you have 20 little kids running to you, begging for food. The first time it happened, it was like, wow, I need to do something about this. The 50th time it happened, it was like, okay, it's just, it's normal life. Kids are going to run up to me and ask for money. But then I started thinking, why am I becoming desensitized? These are people, these are real people in the real world. And it was a lot of these compounding experiences of the inequality of the world that is solvable. Because in Canada and the United States, when you see homeless people, they usually have mental illness, addiction problems. There's reasons why they're homeless. Whereas when you look in East Africa, Central Africa, India, Bangladesh, Thailand, a lot of these areas where I experienced people who were homeless and less fortunate, it was actually a factor of their situation. It wasn't because they had mental health problems. It wasn't because they had addiction problems. You have 10-year-old kids who are living in slums because They don't have parents, but they could easily be the next Steve Jobs, the next Elon Musk, or whoever it is, right? To make an impact on the world. But it's their environment, it's their situation. And so how do you change that situation? And the big insight for me personally was I can't solve every problem in the world, but hopefully I can help inspire more people to want to solve important problems in the world. And that was one of the other fundamental underlyings of starting TKS. It was, how do we get more smart people to focus on important problems? When you grow up in India, you want to go to IIT. You want to get a job at Google or the big engineering firm, right? You want to get the high dollars. And these are the smartest people in the world, right? When you think about, if you are born in India and you work as a software engineer at Google, you are smarter than the average American that works at a software engineering at Google, right? Because there's so much more you had to do to get there. Right? Now imagine if those people weren't working at Google. Imagine if those people were working on climate change, were working on lab-grown meat and cellular agriculture, or working on cancer prevention or COVID. I am so confident that we would have better vaccines, that we would have solutions to climate change much earlier. But the problem is, the world is incentivized to go to Facebook, to go to Google, to go to Instagram. Why? Because it is culturally and socially the success definition, and then the money is there, right? And that's why it's success, because of the money. And so if you're getting paid $250,000 to make Snapchat filters to make your face look a little bit brighter when you're taking a picture, well, people are going to do that, because you're not going to get paid $250,000 to work at a company to remove carbon from the air. But I think that, one, there are economic incentives now to do things like starting the next carbon sequestration company, like Elon Musk just released his X Prize donation of $100 million. But the systems just aren't in place. And when you're young, you're not told you can make an impact in the world and make money and be successful. It's just because your mom wants you to be an engineer or a doctor doesn't mean that's the path you have to take. But nobody tells people that when they're younger, especially in other countries around the world. And so that's why we started our virtual program, so we can provide these opportunities to students around the world. And we have students from India, we have students from Indonesia, we have students from China, Mexico in our programs. When they're in TKS, they realize there are other paths to success. There are other ways to grow and learn. We don't have to follow the traditional systems. That's kind of how I think about the why behind TKS.